Donna Derby had never been the type to step into the spotlight unless it truly mattered. But this time, she wasn't speaking for fame, attention, or applause. She was speaking for someone she cared about deeply, someone the public had loved for years, yet somehow still misunderstood. Bradley Walsh, the man with the unstoppable grin, the warm laugh, the talent that had carried him through decades in entertainment, the man who could make an entire nation smile, even when life wasn't smiling back. And lately, life had been giving him a tougher chapter. Donna had watched the headlines pile up, twisting, turning, exaggerating every small change, every quiet moment, every canceled appearance. Outlets seemed to treat Bradley's humanity like a puzzle they had to solve, even if it meant inventing a few missing pieces. She saw stories that turned everyday challenges into dramatic theories and normal exhaustion into ominous predictions. And one day, she decided enough was enough. Her voice was steady, firm, but full of heart when she finally spoke out. She reminded the world that public figures aren't machines built for constant performance. They're people. People who get tired. People who have off days. People who deserve privacy, dignity, and space. She said it plainly. Bradley's quiet struggles were not entertainment, and his personal moments should never become a feeding frenzy for sensational headlines. Her words carried both strength and affection, an affection for Bradley's work, for his character, and for the years he had given so generously to audiences. She spoke like someone who had seen his true heart, not the surface-level version the world sometimes thinks it knows. And fans listened. Really listened. The moment Donna's message reached the public, support flooded in. People who adored Bradley, people who grew up watching him, people who admired his humor and authenticity, they all felt the same frustration she did. The conversation shifted almost overnight. Instead of asking dramatic questions, fans began asking why certain outlets felt entitled to pry into someone's pain for clicks. It wasn't Bradley's struggles that drew their attention. It was the unfairness of how those struggles were treated. Behind the scenes, Bradley continued being Bradley. Colleagues said he was his usual kind, generous self, the kind of person who always had a joke ready, even when he was tired. He showed up, he worked hard, and he treated people with respect. No dramatic outbursts, no angry responses, no public statements, just quiet dedication. That's the part Donna admired most. His strength didn't come from loud declarations. It came from simply being himself, even when the world tried to guess at things he hadn't said. Friends who knew him knew the truth. He preferred to handle difficulties away from cameras, not because he was hiding, but because he believed life didn't need to be lived on a stage. And ironically, that privacy had allowed room for speculation to grow. But Donna wasn't about to let speculation win. She reminded the world of something so simple, so obvious, yet so often forgotten. When someone gives you decades of joy, laughter, and entertainment, you owe them kindness when the lights dim. You owe them understanding when they're tired. You owe them the same compassion you'd want for yourself. Her message was powerful, but it was also wrapped in warmth. There was something almost poetic about the way she spoke of Bradley, not in a grand romantic sense, but with a gentle respect, as if she truly saw him, the real him, the hard-working man with a big heart, a relentless work ethic, and a sense of humor that only got funnier when he pretended to be serious. Fans loved that. It made the whole situation feel more human, more relatable. Suddenly, this wasn't just about headlines and rumors. It was about empathy. And it didn't hurt that Bradley, in his own charming way, made the whole thing unintentionally funny. Because while the media was busy inventing dramatic theories, he was just trying to remember where he left his reading glasses, or joking with castmates between takes, or tripping over props on set and blaming the floor. He never said a word publicly about the noise around him, and somehow that silence spoke louder than any headline could. It said, "I'll keep doing my job. I'll keep being me, and the rest, it'll settle." Donna's words highlighted something bigger too, a pattern in modern media where vulnerability becomes a product, where personal pain gets turned into bite-sized shock value content. Her stance flipped that script. Instead of feeding the frenzy, she reminded people to slow down, breathe, and remember that being famous doesn't erase being human. Bradley's fans rallied around him like never before. They celebrated his decades of work, his kindness, his humor, his resilience. They filled social media with messages of support, gratitude, and admiration. Some shared stories about how his jokes helped them through hard days. Others talked about how his shows became traditions in their families. Many simply wished him peace, privacy, and rest. And the atmosphere shifted from speculation to appreciation. Donna's voice started a wave not of gossip, but of warmth. People weren't asking what was wrong. They were asking how they could show kindness. They weren't searching for drama. They were remembering why they loved Bradley in the first place. He wasn't defined by difficulty. He was defined by decades of joy he had given to others. In the end, Donna didn't just defend Bradley. She reminded everyone what compassion looks like. She reminded them that respect should grow stronger, not weaker, when someone is vulnerable. She reminded them that fame doesn't cancel humanity. And that simple reminder changed everything. Now, fans aren't repeating rumors. They're repeating gratitude. They're not hunting for details. They're cheering for healing. They're not watching for weakness. They're celebrating the strength he shows every day just by being kind, consistent, and community-minded. Donna sparked a conversation that will stick with people, a conversation about empathy, dignity, and the difference between curiosity and cruelty. She reminded the world that kindness is still louder than gossip, and because of her, the message that truly matters is finally being heard. The message that Bradley Walsh is more than headlines. He's a human being. A performer who has given everything to his craft, a man who deserves space to breathe, to rest, and to move forward at his own pace. And the world, thanks to Donna, seems ready to give him that space. Because when someone has spent a lifetime making others happy, the least anyone can do is return that kindness.